Yo, what's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. We're now seeing Judge Janine, Fox News The 5, coming out, going off on Judge Juan Merchan. His behavior that he's had, seeing sparks flying in that courtroom during closing arguments. Judge Juan Merchan losing his cool once again as he's going off on defense attorney Todd Blanche, Trump's team. I'm excited to get into this clip, see exactly what's going on there, what's got Judge Juan Merchan losing his cool once again. So we're gonna get straight to the clips, and I'll get my thoughts on the back end, guys. Definitely stick around to the end. Guys, get my thoughts on the back end, and also YouTube, push this video out. Definitely stick around until the end, you guys. But let's get straight into the news. Before we can do that, though, make sure you guys hit that like button for me, and also hit that subscribe button, guys. We're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. Let's get into it, y'all.
Donald Trump's defense team making their final pitch today. So what comes next? The 5 co-host, Judge Janine Pirro, has been at the courthouse all day. She joins us now. Judge, just before we get into what the prosecution may or may not do in terms of its closing arguments, Washington Post is carrying something interesting that I guess happened just as court was closing. Somewhere in his closing argument, Todd Blanche suggested to the jury that Trump could go to jail if convicted. Apparently, Merchan blew up at him, according to the Washington Post, saying, "That was outrageous, Mr. Blanche. Someone who's been a prosecutor as long as you have, someone who's been an attorney as long as you have, knows that is highly inappropriate." Apparently, he's going to issue a curative instruction to the jury. Did you hear that, Judge?
I didn't hear it, to be honest with you. I'm stunned sitting here, and I was in there. But, you know, that's very simple. I mean, you give a charge to the jury, and you say, whatever the sentencing may be, or whatever my options may be, are not your concern. As I've told you from the beginning, you decide what the facts are, I give you the law, and you make a decision based upon the facts and the law. So, I mean, there's no need. The guy's very thin-skinned, this Juan Merchan, and there's no need to have a breakdown over it. But here's what I thought was so incredibly strong this morning, and that is that Todd Blanche spoke in very simple language and addressed everything he possibly could in his summation to the jury. It was simple. It was not histrionic. It was not over the top. I mean, some people, you know, if you have a child abuse case or a case, you know, an outrageous case, it's fire and brimstone. This is a case that is very dependent on how the jury sees the role of the falsification of business records. And Todd Blanche started by saying, look, this case is about evidence that was not proven. This case is about what you didn't hear. And he then went on to describe virtually every witness, and he made a great deal of effort trying to show how all the catch and kills were really not catch and kills, that they were simply, with McDougal, it was simply a question. She wanted to be on the cover of magazines. She didn't want anything killed. She wanted to write her own articles. And this guy who was, I don't know, the doorman, all he wanted was money. He didn't even want a story. And in the end, Stormy Daniels' story had already been out in 2011. So it was very precise the way he took everything down. And then at the end, he made it clear that there were people who were extorting money. And he talked about certain witnesses who got together, witnesses who were not called at this trial. Gina Rodriguez on behalf of Stormy Daniels, Dylan Howard on behalf of American media. And then, of course, the issue of Alan Weisselberg, the issue of Keith Schiller. All of these people are essential witnesses as far as I'm concerned. And if I were the defense in this case, and I don't know what the judge's charge is, but you have to get an adverse witness charge. The fact that Alan Weisselberg was not called as a witness and was certainly relevant, everything pointed to Alan Weisselberg being involved in that part of the Trump organization that was involved in the bookkeeping. That is something that should be used against the prosecution because, number one, he was within their control, and number two, he had relevant and material evidence. And the fact that Keith Schiller was not called, when Keith Schiller clearly would say that the conversation on October 24th of 2016 was about a 14-year-old harassing Michael Cohen and not about his phone call with Donald Trump. I mean, all of the evidence was very clearly outlined for the jury. And I got to tell you, he had some great lines. You know, that Michael Cohen is the MVP of liars. He is, and he says, you heard a goat. The gloat, the greatest liar of all time.
You know, since that seems to be such a crowd favorite right now, Judge, we pulled the quote. We can put it up on the screen. This was Todd Blanche in the closing arguments right near the end. He's the human embodiment of reasonable doubt. He lied to you repeatedly, he told the jury. He's biased and motivated. Michael Cohen is the gloat. He's the greatest liar of all time. His words cannot be trusted. You cannot send someone to prison based upon the words of Michael Cohen. It seems, Judge, this was the big bang at the end of his closing arguments.
It was the big bang, and the whole summation was about how Michael Cohen was lying, how what he said made no sense, how the circumstances surrounding Michael Cohen's allegations were knocked down over and over again, and all those little facts that don't make big headlines in terms of what we do, but will make a big difference when the jury goes in and recognizes that, you know, we can't decide this based on Michael Cohen because we have this evidence that contradicts Michael Cohen. It was really an excellent summation, and it was done in modulated, you know, tones, and I think he was very clear on where he was headed.
So I think that very last thing that that Sandra just alluded to, that he is the gloat, the greatest liar of all time. You cannot send someone to prison based upon the words of Michael Cohen. That's probably what Judge Mershon took exception to. I think the judge thought that Blanche should have said you cannot find someone guilty based on the words of Michael Cohen. Mershon is ticked off that he thinks that Blanche was trying to engender sympathy for his client by suggesting that the jury could, for the very first time in history, send a U.S. president to jail. What do you think, Judge?
I happen to agree with that. I think that the idea that the centerpiece, he's always been the centerpiece of this conviction. He's got so many holes in him right now, and there are more holes as a result of the summation, because he was very methodical, Todd Blanche, in terms of talking to the jury. This was a lie, that was a lie, you can't believe this, you can't believe that. I mean, it's almost as though he shouldn't have been allowed to testify in the first place. And what I thought was brilliant was he said, you know, he lied about all of this, but folks, he got on the stand and lied to you again. It's not just what he's done in the past, it's what he did in this courtroom after he swore to tell the truth. He took an oath. He looked at you. He said that we recognized that he was under oath and under penalty of perjury, and he still lied to you based upon the evidence, the facts, and the circumstances. They cannot convict based upon him. They cannot. We'll see.
So, Judge, at the end of all of this, all that matters are the jurors. And we just have to wonder what happens the next few hours and then on into tomorrow, what those instructions are. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm concerned about the instructions. I want those missing witness instructions, adverse witness charge. I'm curious. They say they gave us 3 options for the crime they were trying to conceal, and the jury doesn't have to identify or agree on which one. I mean, this is the sickest thing I've ever heard of. How can we be in the middle of a summation and not know what the crime is that they're trying to conceal, or what crime they violated? What is the felony that resurrected these dead misdemeanors? It is unheard of. I tell you this not just as a prosecutor, but as a judge. This is unfair. You've got to assume that Juan Mershon is not going to give the best charge to the jury in this case, but at the same time, the practical, methodical beat down of all the facts by Todd Blanche may be good enough for them to say, you know what, this guy's a piece of garbage. We can't send someone to prison if that's what they think the option is. Or a former president, no less, based upon. And by the way, you know what I liked? The judge said, you can come back today, you know, for the people's summation, but we'll take it into tomorrow if it's past 4:30. And the jury came back and they said, no, we want to go right through with this one. That tells me they're ready and they're not into this. Well, let's take a week off. I think they're ready to do their job. And I had a good feeling from that.
Yeah. You know, as Kerry Kupek was mentioning last week, as Kerry Kupek was mentioning last week, you'd think that if you're going to take a U.S. president, former U.S. president trial for the very first time, it better be something that is crystal clear. It's got to be like, we caught him taking $1 billion for selling nuclear weapons to some country, not for something as murky as this. Judge, great to see you as always. Thank you.
And no one, I got to tell you one thing, no one tied Donald Trump to that bookkeeping. No one.
Judge, awesome to have you on.
And they'll know that going into the verdict.
All right. We'll let you get back in. Thanks, Judge. All right.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Judge Janine always loved, check in on her takes. She always calls it straight down the middle, guys. She's going to call the balls and the strikes how she sees it. She doesn't care who you're playing for, what jersey you're wearing, what number it is, guys. She's going to call it how she's seeing it. Right now, she's saying this case is disgusting, guys. Something in that courtroom stinks. She can tell just by, the mannerisms of Judge Juan Merchan that he is not having his way. In his courtroom, he's out in control of his jury like he thought he initially would be, and it's all going to come down to those jury instructions. This whole case, like Judge Janine has been trying to exclaim to us, guys, she is going off because she can see it and she's sitting through this, charade case. There is no initial crime. The judge is just astonished that we're, at the end of closing arguments, and we still haven't got an initial crime, or the crime hasn't been announced for, what Donald Trump has been trying to cover up. Donald Trump has never been tied to, actually doing this bookkeeping, the records. It's never been, his pencil, his pen. I just don't understand how he is the one sitting there and being prosecuted for this case. And that's why Judge Janine comes with this passionate speech. She's exclaiming to the American people, trying to get the message out there. I mean, for Pete's sake, guys, this guy Donald Trump should not be sitting here wasting time inside of this charade court case. This clown show of a courtroom ran by Judge Juan Merchan. He's allowed D. Alvin Bragg to revive this Frankenstein dead case, reviving an 8-year-old misdemeanor that's way past his statute in order to upgrade it up to a felony, bring about this case on Donald Trump. We already know what he's trying to do here. This plan was doomed from the start. I mean, if you're going to come after someone who was the former president and the future presidential nominee, guys, going to be the next president of the United States, you better have a good case, something that is, open and shut, or nothing, no room to be like, I don't know. There's reasonable doubt. There's reason to believe that he may not know. There is, cut and dry. He did it. He didn't do it. And that's not what we have here, guys. We've got such, just a shaky and weak foundation in this case that we're seeing this case falling down, caving in on itself, especially with the witness testimonies. Michael Cohen, he has really hurt this case, and stunk it up. The whole place stinks because of Michael Cohen right now. His witness testimonies up there on the stand has lived up to exactly what everyone was warning and urging those on the left, D. Alvin Bragg and this judge about, his character is so flawed. He is a habitual liar and a scammer, guys. This guy is a good old fraudster. I mean, we can't forget that he stole $130,000 out of that hush money payment. If anyone should be getting prosecuted right now, it should be Michael Cohen for the extortion of Donald Trump. I mean, how do you steal $130,000 because you felt like it was owed to you? I mean, come on now. This guy, alongside his testimony, I just really don't see how the jury will be able to come out and say that they're finding Donald Trump guilty in this case. And it seems like they're starting to wake up to the corruption of this Judge Juan Merchan, and how lax he is on this case. Keeps trying to take a break and drag this thing on. It almost seems like Judge Juan Merchan is starting to enjoy that spotlight, and being in the media nonstop. He likes to see his name in headlines, so he's trying to, drag this thing on. We've already seen him putting a pause to the case, sitting in the juror's home for 8 days, just now resuming today. So they're done. They're fed up. It seems like they want to, get this thing over with. And I'm just going to say it's going to be interesting to see the final jury instructions coming from the judge, because I remember initially he had stated that they believed that any of the testimony of that witness, Michael Cohen, had been a lie, that they could discredit and dismiss all of his testimony. And one could only believe that after this fallacy-filled testimony of Michael Cohen's, that all of our jurors have to toss out and discredit everything he said up there on the stand. That means they have no case. It means this thing is going to get tossed out. I don't know, guys. They'll be hopping in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. I'm standing true. I'm doubling, tripling down on my stance, guys. This case is still headed straight towards getting tossed out. This thing stinks way too bad to stay in the house. Someone's got to go dump it. Definitely hop in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. How do you guys think this will end? Where is our jury, sitting right now after all the information, or the lack of information, that has been brought forth? evidence going against, proving this thing beyond a reasonable doubt. What does our jury lie right now? What are you thinking, guys? Definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Also, make sure you guys hit that share button and share this out to as many Facebook friends as possible, guys. Share the truth. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button. It doesn't cost one thing, guys. Hit that like button for your boy, and also hit that subscribe button as we're on the road to the truth. Hop aboard for the journey. I'll catch y'all on the next week. Go.